English is a very complicated language. In fact, in English we have 44 different sounds. Most languages have 20 to 25, and Hawaii only has 12. Now these sounds that we have in English, they're called phonemes. We have 44 of them. Each sound that we make is a phoneme. Let's look at the word cluck. Cluck, you may think it has one phoneme because it's one syllable. But if you look at it, it's got the C, the L, the U, the K, cluck, cluck. So there's 4 different sounds in the word cluck. And boy, does English have a lot of words. In fact, 171,476 words. At the moment, we can say 175,000 and get away with it. Now, in order to make these phoneme sounds, we have to use our mouth and our tongue and place them in different positions to create these noises. And you know, your mouth can only do so much, right? You can only do so many things to create those noises with your mouth. And sometimes we'll actually hum. Yes, that's true. Sometimes we'll take a phoneme and we'll hum it and we'll create another sound. For instance, check this out. Think about F, the sound F. All right, so when we make the F sound, we go f, f. But what if you hum it? Hum it, hum an F. You get a V, right? An F hummed is a V. Let's try this one. Take a K, for instance, right? A K, k, k. Now hum a K, k, g, g. When you hum a K, it becomes a G. Let's try it with a P, right? Try a P. If you take a P and you hum it, what do you get? A B, right? A P when you hum it is a B. Let's try the S. You got the S. What happens when you hum an S? An S when you hum it. You got it. An S when you hum it. It's a Z. Now how about a T? Take a T sound, that t, t sound, t, and hum it. T, d, d. A T makes a D when you hum it. Now let's talk about vowel sounds. In English, there's 6 vowels, right? A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. So we really have only 3 vowels, and then the rest are a variation of E. We have O and U, and then we have E, right? Now we can do certain things to that E to make other vowels. Check this out, right? So I have E and I add A. What does that make? A and E. Try it. A-E, A-E, I equal an I. Right? A-E, I. Now what if I do this? What if I go A plus E equal A. And then one other one, right? How about if I were to put W? Or a WH maybe. Wah plus E. Wah, E, wah, E, wah, I, Y. So I, A, and Y all come from adding something to that E. Get it?
You know, Julius Caesar never spoke English, but he has a big part in us speaking English. And that's because when the Romans came to what we know as England, they hated the weather. So they left. Now, everywhere the Romans had gone, and everywhere they would go, they would take over an area and they would force those people to speak Latin. So when they went to France, now we have French, right? They go to Portugal, we have Portuguese. You go to Romania, and now they were speaking Romanian because of the Latin influence. Spain, Spanish, Latin influence. In fact, 84% of the words in Italian, French, Spanish, and Portuguese, and Romanian, they're all Latin. Whoever the Romans conquered, those people were forced to speak Latin.
So in 55 BC, Caesar comes into what we know as Great Britain with his Roman troops. And they hang around for a little bit, checking out the property. But after a while, you see, the problem was it was wet. It was always raining. They couldn't handle it. It was too wet. The weather. So because of the weather, they left.
Now, after a while, the Angles and the Saxons and the Jutes conquer England after Caesar leaves, right? And the Jutes disappear into history, but we know the Angles and the Saxons. We've heard that word before, Anglo-Saxon. Angles and Saxons came from northern Germany and southern Scandinavia. Why? The weather was better in England, so they went there. Why not? And they spoke Anglo-Saxon, no Latin.
So we have a lot of Anglo-Saxon German in our language today, a lot of it. In fact, 100 of the most popular words that we use are Anglo-Saxon German, these 1 or 2 syllable words. 83 are Anglo-Saxon German. That's a whole lot of Anglo-Saxon German. Our phrases, we have phrases that just stick in our minds because they're easy to remember, because Anglo-Saxon German. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. One small step for man, one giant step for mankind. Ask not what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you. Or does it go the other way around? You get my point. Now in 1066, William the Conqueror came to what we know as Great Britain with his French troops. And they stuck around a while, but guess what? They left. William didn't like the weather, and they went back to France. However, while they were there, some of these French Latin-speaking men fell in love with these Anglo-Saxon German-speaking women. When it was time to go back to France, the French soldiers said, "Can we bring them with us?" And William the Conqueror said, "No way. You cannot bring those disgusting, low-life, low people with us." "Can we stay?" they said. "Can we stay here with the women?" And William the Conqueror said, okay, but if you stick around, you are not to speak French to these low lives. Do not share our elegant, wonderful language with them. And they may not share their language with you. I will not have you Frenchmen speaking Anglo-Saxon German. So what you have is you have the Anglo-Saxon German women and the French Latin-speaking men. And they have these two languages, and somehow over time, the two combine to what we know as English. So that's how we have English. And if the weather had been nice, we'd all be speaking French.
Now, the French like to be impressive, right? So when we want to impress, we're like the French. We pull out these sophisticated words to make ourselves sound smart. I want you to think about the word deer, right? So if I shoot a deer and I serve it to you and I want to charge you $20, you're probably not that interested. But if I call it venison, the French word for deer, venison sounds more appetizing, right? More sophisticated. Maybe you'd shell out a bunch of money for that. How about when I ask you something? If I ask you a question, if I want to sound really serious and like I really know what I'm talking about, I'm going to interrogate you. Hey, I could be mad or angry, Anglo-Saxon German, but if I really want to enunciate that, I could say that I am discombobulated, which is the French Latin version. Sweat, Anglo-Saxon people sweat. French Latin people, they perspire, they have perspiration. So when you want to sound really smart, you use these more complex words. These French Latin words that have snuck into our language with the Anglo-Saxon German. In fact, we have a lot of words in our language. Do you know that we have 206 words just to say bad or lousy or crummy? English is very complex.